So, Michael, it's an honor to be here with you inside of Trusted World. So, let's begin by having you tell everybody a little bit more about who you are.
I spent 30 years in manufacturing. My specialty is efficiencies. I could list out the accolades on the things, the titles, and the certificates I had, but it doesn't really make much sense. But I was the person that corporations would bring in if they wanted to be more efficient in the processes and what they were working on. And I would teach the employees how to be more effective, more efficient, and all that stuff. I was working with some nonprofits, and they kept asking, hey, your background. What about? And I kept saying, well, what you need to do, what you need to do, what you need to do. And after a while, it was like, well, what if I did that? And so that's how Trust World kind of started. And what it was is basically it was a bunch of school counselors going, I'm running into these people that have a need. I don't have a clothes closet. Like, what do I do? And then so we started like, well, what if we got the resources for you? And that's when we were just working out of my garage. And then a lot more, the school counselors, they started talking to each other. And then they started talking to the police, and the police started talking to other nonprofits. And then we had to move into a building. And here we are 9 years later, we have 813 partners.
Wow.
We're in 7 counties. We're in 21 school districts, 430 schools. It's mind-boggling. It's like every year we seem to be doubling, with the exception of COVID. We tripled in size that year. We watched other nonprofits actually go out of business during COVID, and we were doubling in size because we figured out that we tell our partners, focus on what you do best. And a lot of them it's counseling. That's what they went to school for. They didn't go to school on how to find a t-shirt or what do I do with a toothbrush. They went to school for counseling. So we're telling them, focus on what you do best. We got your back. Mm-hmm. And so we've literally become a fulfillment center on telling them, if you need clothing, food, or toiletries, just place the order with us. We're going to deliver it to you, and then you get to give it to the people that you're trying to help.
So for people who are not very familiar with Trusted World, you did give us a good idea of when you started and why. But what are the exact services you're offering, or the exact products that you're offering to the community?
So we offer clothing, food, and toiletries, and it's size-specific clothing. It's a week's worth of food, and it's the toiletries that you need to get through the basic side of things in that. We service 3 main areas: nonprofits, police, and schools. Mm-hmm. So for the school counselor, we tell them, don't just take care of the child. You have to take care of the whole family.
Yes.
We're trying to address situational poverty, and that's a family issue, not a child issue. Mm-hmm. On the police side, they're used to running into people with need, and got to the point where we actually created an application that goes on a police officer's cell phone or car computer. And now while the officer's on a call, they can actually place an order. So you get called in for a domestic dispute. The officer goes in and says, hey, you guys are kind of yelling and arguing loud enough. The neighbors are complaining, and they're like, what's going on? They're like, well, we don't have any food. Officer whips out a cell phone and goes, I'll be back. He comes back with the food. We're changing the way the public's interacting with the police. It's amazing. When you're in a situation where you're in situational poverty, you only have a little bit of money. You can either pay the rent or you can eat. You normally can't do both. So a parent will say, I don't care where I'm living. I'm not going to watch my child go hungry. Okay, I'm going to feed my kid. We're telling our partners to tell them, no, pay the rent. Mm-hmm. Because once you're homeless, it's hard to get back in. You got securities, you got fees and everything like that. We're going to give you the clothing and food to give to them, so now they can take what little bit of their money and allocate it correctly. So there's so much impact that Trust World has on our partners. Again, it just keeps getting exponential as it goes down the line.
And it is certainly making an impact. And
it is.
You mentioned you have partners, and I mean, the reach is just, it's just growing and growing.
Yeah, we're in 7 counties now, and it's amazing, some of the stuff that we're doing and some of the reach we have. I mean, if there's an apartment complex fire somewhere and people are out of their home, the Red Cross shows up and they're doing their thing, and they're ordering all the clothing, food, and toiletries from us. Mm-hmm. School counselors are ordering for us. We even work with the DA's office and the FBI and CIA, and when they're doing a sex trafficking rescue, they're ordering the resources from us. We found out that when you're rescued, everything you're wearing is evidence. You have to strip. And so we're providing the clothing for them to change into, plus a couple more outfits. And so it's like we're learning so much as we go on, but we're also learning that we can fit into a whole bunch of different areas too.
So with that said, I bet it's pretty hard to check a box.
Oh my goodness, yes. We again we've been doing this for 9 years, and we've been trying to get grants. And because we're the first organization to do what we do, there's no checkbox for us. And so when we fill out a grant, we look and we go, we don't. And the grant people go, well, what do you do? I go, well, we help all them, but and they're like, we don't understand what you just said. And so it's really hard for us to get. We actually had a couple of foundations who said, oh, I see where you're different. We don't care about the check boxes. We're going to help you anyway.
There you go.
And other people are like, nope, you didn't check the right box. Sorry, we can't give you the grant. It hurts us.
Yeah.
Sponsorships. We've had major corporations come in here and go, whoa. So if we're helping you, we're actually helping 800 nonprofits. Yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
And so we have people like Credit Union Texas, Santander. These are huge people who've come alongside us and go, we see the value of what you're doing in the community. United Way turned around and they did the same thing. They go, you're different. You don't click one of our boxes, but we see the impact that you're doing. And now they're starting to stand behind us. It's amazing.
It is. So let's talk a little bit about your staff and the volunteers. Like, how does all of this work?
Yeah. So, all right. So we have a staff of 12. So we have drivers, we have pickers, restockers, we have some administration people. And again, there's just 12 of us. When you look at last year, we put $2.4 million worth of resources back into the community. And you can tell right here, we did over 12,000 orders for that. And the order could be anywhere from a single article of clothing or an order for somebody, or it could be food for a family of 5. So we actually helped 28,000 people through this 12,000 orders. And so in order for that to happen, the staff are doing the things that require interaction with our computer system, which we created. It's called Trusted Inventory. And so the volunteers coming in, they're the ones that's processing all that clothing for us. And we have it down to a really nice science where you can come in here and in 2 minutes, we can explain to you what needs to be done. And you're working. We've had TI engineers come in here and go, wait, in 2 minutes? Like we're blown away. Like, this is amazing. And so through that, we had like 12,000 volunteers last year, all of them putting in multiple hours. And that's how we're able to process all this stuff. We cannot do this without the community helping us through the volunteer program that we have.
Yes. And speaking of volunteers, because, even with Love Justice, we're a nonprofit. We rely on volunteers. And then there's obviously every nonprofit is relying on volunteers. What words would you offer volunteers who are looking to just join an organization and be a part of making an impact?
Well, in general, nonprofits cannot do anything without the community helping them. A good nonprofit should be a conduit of goodness between what the community wants to do and what the community is trying to help. That's what a good nonprofit should be, and their volunteer program should reflect that in whatever it may be. I know with us, we don't have background checks because we don't have any clients here. None of that we services in the building. And we love it when families come in. We want the little children to come in as a family unit because, first of all, we're one of the few places where you can come in with children. And parents love that. They're like, I want to volunteer, but who's going to watch my kid? We're like, bring them along. It's okay. And that the child's going to ask you, Mommy, Daddy, like, why are we doing this? You get to share your philosophy on giving back to the community while you're doing it. That's important when you're raising kids because that's what sets the tone for the next generation that comes through. Oh yeah, my mom and dad, we always went out and volunteered. I'm going to do that with my kids. Right. It's a generational process that comes down the line.
That is, I totally agree. So Love Justice, we're focused on social justice. So when you think about Trusted World, how do you feel Trusted World fits into the social justice space?
The best way I can describe it is we have 813 partners, and we're servicing every realm, every whatever you want to talk about. We have nonprofits that do everything. The beautiful part about it is our requirement for a nonprofit is they have to have a vetting process, and it has to be a legit one. Okay. Other than that, we really don't care who you're helping. Okay. And so we blindly are helping our partners help whoever it is that they're working with. So like a school counselor, I mean, so schools alone reach every demographic possible. Okay. Then you throw in the nonprofits, and then you throw in the police, and then you throw in the churches. We're hitting every denomination and everything you can name. We right across the board. Our statistics and our diversity is just on. It's crazy. And the best part about it is, like, a school counselor may say, "I just had mom pour her heart out to me in my office, and I'm not going to ask mom to do that again for another nonprofit." And we tell them that's okay. What do you need? And so we may get the order, and it may say recipient's name. It might say student ID 123-mom. That's all we know we're helping, because the school counselor knows who it is. The same thing with sex trafficking. We don't need to know who got trafficked. We just need to know that the DA's office needs our assistance. Okay, we need to know that the police officer needs our assistance. We spend a lot of time vetting our partners, and then we tell them, if you say they need help, that's good enough for us. Which is why we have such a huge impact. But the fact is, it's a trusted impact because of the fact we realize there's a vetting process. Now, we've had organizations come to us and go, "Hey, can you give us some stuff? We're just going to stand on the street corner and hand it out." We're like, no. Our process is designed so our partners, it's their guidance and counseling, and it's our resources that makes them more holistic. That's when change happens. When you give them guidance and you give them resources together, that's what makes change. And that's what we're trying to drive.
Yeah, I love what you said about it's not just impacting one person in the household, but how do you impact the entire household?
You have to. We always say, listen, if grandma's living with the family, then you got to take care of grandma too, because she's part of that family. Situational poverty is not a child problem. It's a family problem. And I don't like to even say that it's a problem. It could have been they were struggling and they were trying, and a medical bill came, and they were trying to be due diligent and making sure that their credit was staying good and paying that bill, but it affected the fact that now they don't have enough money to buy food. And then one other thing like that happens, next thing you know, they're falling down the poverty line towards homelessness, and all they need is a little help for a while.
And it can happen to anybody. Someone at the top of a corporate ladder on down. Anybody can fall into a hardship.
It could be because you made a bad decision, you made a dumb decision, you made a stupid decision. It could be for any reason whatsoever.
It's true.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the title Trusted World?
Oh, man. I was building something where I wanted it so when you saw the name, you felt like this is something I could trust. And the name Trusted World just came to mind. And when I Googled it, nobody owned it. And I was like, what? No, you're kidding me, really?
Yeah.
And so we started using the name.
And it's a great name.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, this has been an honor and a pleasure. Again, the facility is amazing. So how can people learn more about you? Where can they go to follow you, especially if they live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or if they're traveling in? Where do people go to learn more?
Well, they can go to trustedworld.org. That's our main website. We're on all the social media platforms. We're on LinkedIn. They can come in and volunteer. We always tell people, donate your clothing to us. Come in and volunteer. Once you see what's happening to your clothing, and once you see the process that we have, consider donating to us financially. I don't want your money right away. I want you to believe in our process, because once you donate because you believe, that's when you know something's good's happening with your money. And so that's what we tell people: donate your clothing to us, come in and volunteer with us, get to know us, meet us, hang out here, see what Trusted World's all about, and then considering helping us financially. As we say in our tagline, we're just helping people help people.